morning everyone, and welcome along to another video. In this video we're going to take what we did in the last video a wee bit further. Okay, in the last video we were talking about gradient. We went through a couple of ideas of steepness, of what gradient is, what it describes, where can you see it in the real world, roads, mountains, etc, etc. But when we're working with it in maths, what we came up with from the last time, you don't need to write this into your notes jotters because you'll have this from the last time round, but what we came up with was, we came up with a formula essentially. We shortened the word gradient to the letter M, which is very important, and then we have V over H. So this was vertical over horizontal. Obviously if the vertical number goes up a wee bit more, that's going to make it steeper. If the horizontal number gets a bit bigger, that's going to make it a lot less steep or a wee bit flatter. And we also talked about a positive gradient was going up like this, and a negative gradient was going down like that. Now, if you were in class, you would have done this in a starter probably, but unfortunately, at the minute, I'm not doing starters in these, although I might have to include them at some point. Okay, so that was what we did the last time around. That was the important bit that you hopefully remembered from the previous video. So, take down your heading, right, in your notes jotters, calculating gradient from coordinates. And we want to try and draw this wee grid here, which is going to start us off allowing to actually work this out. Now, it's a lot easier for you guys to do this because you'll have squares in your jotters. I'm not working with squares, I'm working with a whiteboard, so I'm going to have to do my best to try and show you what this is without squares. So if you pause the video, okay, I'm not going to stop and wait for you to do it because that would be silly. So pause the video, draw the lines, draw the things on, and we'll get our line in between and the calculations done, okay? So this time round there's no information about what's going on here vertically and what's going on here horizontally. Now, as I say, if you guys have got that drawn in your jotter, you should be able to actually count how many squares this is and how many squares this is. That's fine, but most of the time when you get to National 5 and higher, this will be on a plain bit of paper. So you want to be able to do it without counting the boxes, but it's always a good check to do as well. Right, so if we have a look at this point here, the y coordinates first of all, okay, if you remember from here, the vertical bit's on top. So that's going to be your y coordinates, and your horizontal bit on the bottom is going to be your x coordinates. So we're going to look at the y ones first. Okay, so that y coordinate is 8, and down here the y coordinate is 4. So we're looking to figure out what's the gap, or how long is that vertical distance between 8 and 4. So you can do 8 subtract 4, which is going to give you a value of 4, which means that there should be 4 boxes in your jotter there. Same here. Okay, between here and here, we've got 1 to 3. So again, 3 minus 1 would give you 2 boxes, and there should be 2 boxes between in the horizontal direction there. Now that all looks very, very complicated, and we don't really want it to be that complicated. We want it to be a little bit simpler than that. So we're going to simplify all of that diagram into, I'm just going to leave that there. I think I should be able to fit 2 of these on the screen nearly. I'm just going to leave that there for a minute, and we're going to simplify all of this into some sort of actual formula. Now you do need to learn this formula, okay? You're not given this formula in the formula sheet. You need to learn it, and this is the most important thing about what this video is all about. Okay, so instead of doing V over H, which is what we had over here, instead of V over H, we're looking to do the difference in the vertical and the difference in the horizontal. Okay, so you've got 2 coordinate points here. You've got a y coordinate and another y coordinate. You've got an x coordinate and another x coordinate. Now we're going to number those coordinates. We're going to say, if we start off above here, and I'm not going to use 3 and 8 and 1 and 4 just now. We're just going to use one x coordinate and one y coordinate, and then another x coordinate and another y coordinate. So this is the first coordinate, this is the second coordinate. We've labelled them x1, y1, x2, y2. Now this could be the exact same as what we had here. So we have in there and just about x1, y1 in there. Okay, but it's a bit messy in that diagram. However, if we start nice and simple from here, we want to do the difference in the y's. So we'll go with y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and that is really the whole point of this video. Okay, learning that, using that, and being able to kind of work it through. So if we just go back to here, we had our 2 points, we had 3, 8, and we had 1, 4. Okay, if I label now, how you label these doesn't actually matter, but it will make it easier if you make the larger numbers the second coordinate. So this is going to be x2, y2, and x1, y1. Now when you fill those numbers in, which I will do just underneath here, so this is what you're going to look like for your actual solution. This is what it's going to look like for your solution here. Okay, so we're going to start with the formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 8, y1 is 4, x2 is 3, and x1 is 1. 8 subtract 4 is 4, 3 subtract 1 is 2, and 4 divided by 2 does give you an answer of 2. Okay? Now that's your actual working for this, and that's all you really need to do. Okay? You can keep your M down the side if you want to, keep it nice and neat, like so. Now if you've got a negative one, or a question with negative numbers, it would be slightly different. So I'll just give you another example here, and we'll go down the way, something like this. I'm going to make this a wee bit harder, so this would be maybe slightly more like an extension question. So over here, let's say that's 8, 2, and up here we've got -1. I'm just going to make it very random, because if it's a fractional answer that's horrible, then that's a good thing, because you need to be able to do fractional answers that are horrible. Okay, so there's your question. And again, you can pause that and copy that down. Here for the solution. Okay, here for the solution, I'm going to use exactly the same thing. I'm going to write the coordinate points out. We're going to label them. Now the bigger ones ideally being your second coordinate points, so x2, y2, x1, y1. Okay, and we'll go into our formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we're going to fill in the numbers. Now normally I would get you guys to do this, but obviously I can't, so I have to do it all myself. But what you could do is pause the video, okay, have a go. If you're not confident, do it in your class jotter or a bit of paper, and then you can copy me in afterwards if you want to, because I would say most of you will be able to fill these numbers in. So we're going to go with 2 subtract 5 over 8. Now here we've got a bit of an awkward situation, because we've got 8 to subtract -1, so that's going to be a bit more difficult as well. 2 subtract 5 gives you -3. Now when you've got a minus and a minus beside each other, so subtracting a negative here, what does that give us? And hopefully you guys are all shouting plus at the screen, so it's -3 over 9. And if I can just finish it on another board, because I've run out of room, this board's dead messy, I'm going to clean it, I promise. -3 over 9 simplifies down to -1/3. Okay, so there's your gradient. If it was a bit more tricky with some negative numbers in the coordinate points, but also some negative numbers here, a negative, subtracting a negative there, simplifying a fraction, a bit more difficult, but a lot more kind of something you're probably facing in the textbook, etc. Okay, so that's those bits done. I'll give you some questions on that to do. And we're looking at doing question 9 on page 51. Okay, enjoy.